Hey, hockey fans, T-Boz is 13-3 here with another top shelf guest, 2023 national champion, most outstanding player in the tournament, Wisconsin Badger goalie Cami Kronish. This episode is sponsored by Kelly Heating and Electric, Computer Recovery Associates, Dooley's Pub, and Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Mogi.
Oh, I'm just thrilled to be here. We're here at the LeBon Arena. Thanks again to Coach Dan Cook for getting us a spot. And we're here celebrating the 7th national championship of the Wisconsin Badgers women's hockey team. And we can't wait to talk to Cami and hear all about how she got to Wisconsin and how she ended up being a national champion.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to talk to you, give you some insight into what's been going on the past couple of weeks.
Oh, this is going to be great. Let's start off with, before Coach Cook left the room, he introduced us, and apparently you've got a new nickname with the team.
Oh, yeah. So I can't say that it's an original one, though. It started a few years ago when Kristen Campbell won the most outstanding player, and then again with McKenna Webster. But MOP has become the nickname for me this year. I've inherited it from some outstanding players in the past. So, yeah, it's just like a fun little nickname. Love to hear it. The girls love to go with it. So, yeah, it's a nice reminder, I have to be honest with you.
So when did they bestow MOP upon you?
Right away when they announced it on the ice in Duluth. Right when they announced it, all of a sudden the girls going MOP, MOP, MOP. I honestly figured it was coming when I heard the announcement, just in the way that we had treated the previous MOP. So that was like it was like their legal name for a couple weeks. So no, yeah, it's awesome to have that honor.
Yes, it is. Let's go to the Frozen Four tournament. You come into this tournament starting goaltender, game one. Before you go to the national championship, you've got to get through a powerhouse. What's going through your mind on that Thursday night before the first game?
Yeah, definitely anxious wanting the game to start, but I was also feeling really confident because we had already played Minnesota, I think 5 times so far in the season. So we knew exactly what we were coming up against. There weren't going to be any surprises. They have a ton of talent on their team, and we knew that we had to match that, and we had to play a full 60 minutes. So, you know, there were definitely some nerves, but going into the game, you just kind of have to take a step back and rely on the things that you've been practicing for the past year, the past 4 years, and just let that take control. But yeah, it was definitely a little bit of a nerve-wracking experience. I had never been playing in a Frozen Four before. I only ever watched it. So to be in that position, I was nervous, but just had some awesome teammates that had my back and supported me, and you know they believed in me, so I was able to believe in myself, and things turned out pretty good.
So you get past Minnesota, and on come the defending national championship Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah, everything was so crazy, really leading up to that point, because you know, when you're in those types of games where you're just trying to win to get to the next one, I feel like it's a lot more stressful than actually being in that final game, because, you know, you have a lot more at stake. Like, if we don't win this game, we're not going to make it to the final. I think a lot of people were more nervous about not making it than potentially losing in the final. It's just the stress of going through those games. But once we got to Ohio, I mean, that was probably the most nervous that I've been for a game all season since the first weekend. You know, like the first weekend, I was the most nervous, that Penn State weekend, and then my nerves kind of went away, and then, you know, they all came flooding back that Sunday morning. But similar to Minnesota, we had played them 4 times. We didn't really get the result that we wanted during the regular season in most of the games, but we knew that if we just played well, that we would have a good chance to beat them. They're another super talented team. But no, I remember during the game, like after the first period, I couldn't even drink my water because I was so nervous. And like I was going to our athletic trainer, and she gave me like an anti-nausea pill. Like it's funny because so many people have said to me, like, you look so confident in there. Like, oh my God. I'm like, well, on the inside, I was like freaking out because your mind starts to run a little bit when the clock starts ticking down, and you start to think like this could actually happen. And, you know, we could actually win. So yeah, definitely had some nerves, but I guess that they were just able to propel me to play better. So I'm happy about that.
So does time slow down for you? I mean, you're winning the game 1-0 going in the third period. And how long was that 20 minutes?
It felt like a lifetime. Like it's always in usually when you're playing a good team, like time goes by really fast because you're busy with shots. But just being in the situation of that game, plus the TV timeouts, it felt like time was like moving as slow as possible. And I was just praying for it to speed up. I just wanted the game to end. And like the game is just like, it's really just like blurred in my mind now because I was just so focused on getting to the end of it. But no, yeah, I definitely time was going way too slow in those moments.
As a goaltender, and the puck's in your zone, are you a yeller? Are you directing your defensemen or forwards out there, or are you quiet behind that mask?
I think I try to be in the middle a little bit. I've played with some goalies that really don't talk a lot and some others that you can hear them all the way from the bench. And, I try to point out things where I see them, but I also feel like sometimes if I'm doing that too much, then I'm also like not really focusing on the puck as much if I'm doing too much talking. So I try to keep a balance between the two. Obviously, if there's something clearly that needs fixing, I'll yell about it. Or if a player has time and, there's not a lot of pressure on me, I'll yell about it. But otherwise, I like to try to keep quiet and just focus on the play.
Let's go back to the Minnesota game. We had, Mogi and I, a couple of the Minnesota players on the podcast last year, the Zumwinkle sisters, who, as you pointed out, there are some talented players on that team. Did you prepare for this game, the semifinal for the national championship? Did you as a team or you as a player prepare for that game any differently than the other times you faced them through the season?
Actually, every time we face Minnesota, I do the same kind of preparation because they tend to run different plays than they're more successful at running these plays than any other team in our league because they have such firepower offensively. So me personally, I do a lot of work on those shots that they take where they try to come across the net, and a lot of people do that, like Heisey, Zumwinkle, Murphy. They all try to cut across the top of the circles and then shoot. So me and the defense, we're really aware of that. And I know that the defense worked a lot on one-on-ones because they just have so many skilled individuals. So they really need to be aware of, keeping their stick strong and back checking and stuff. So yeah, definitely a different kind of preparation to play a team like that with so much talent. And same goes for Ohio State, Okay. You have to, we watch a video and we see things that they try to do, plays that they try to run. And, the coaches tell us what we should be doing to try to battle that. So yeah, it's definitely a game of details when you're playing against talented teams like that.
So let's talk about the coaching staff. Who works with the goaltenders?
So Mark Greenhall has been the goalie coach here the whole time I've been here. And this guy, I don't know if you've met him, but he's just a beauty. I mean, like he lights up a room. Like he played here back when Coach Johnson played here. I think that they might have even been on the same team under Badger Bob. But he's been working with the program for a long time. And Greenie, we all call him Greenie, he's just like brings so much energy to the ice every single day. He's an awesome guy, and he really, like, you can really tell, like, when a coach, like, loves what they're doing, and he's one of those guys, like, he loves coming on the ice every day and working with us goalies, and that just rubs off on us, too. Like, we usually do our goalie stuff at the end of practice, so, you might be tired, might be frustrated because the players are sniping you or whatever, but, he just comes on the ice with such a good attitude, and, you can't help but smile, and it really helps us get the most out of what we're doing.
Nice.
What did he do, or maybe you did it yourself, to make sure you stayed focused during these games? I mean, Minnesota was a tough game in itself. Then you get a shutout in the championship game, and of course, you want to keep that shutout. So what's your mind focused on to be able to stay in the game and not wander or get ahead of yourself?
Yeah, I really just have, like, a few words that I repeat in my head before each period, just reminding myself to be aggressive, be patient, read the play, see the puck, track the puck, all those kinds of things that me and Greenie have worked on. But no, there was one instance that happened going into the third period of the championship game where I was leaving the locker room, and Greenie and I always say something to each other in the hallway before we get on, or I get on the ice. And I walked up to him and I said, Greenie, man, like, I'm so effing nervous. And he was like, kid, like, you've prepared for this. Like, you've earned this. Believe that you've worked hard enough to be in this situation and like succeed. And I can't thank him enough, like, for saying those words, just calm me down. And after the game, he was like, remember what I said to you? And I was like, man, I'll never forget that. That was such an impactful thing. Like, that was so special, something that I'll remember for the rest of my life. So, no, all the credit goes to him for believing in me and instilling that confidence.
Speaking of believing in you and the confidence, this year was really the big year for you. I mean, you hadn't really played a whole ton of goal for Wisconsin up until this year, and actually at the start of the year you were rotating with the sophomore goalie. Yeah. So at what point did you just take control, and what clicked for you that all of a sudden you're the gal there?
Yeah, so me and Jane Gervais were splitting, and we were both doing a great job, and the coaches, I think, had their hands full trying to figure it out. And unfortunately, Jane went down with a high ankle sprain when Minnesota was here. And so she was out for a few weeks, maybe even a month or so. And during that time, I just felt like I really stepped up in practice, and in games. I think I just took another step mentally, and as a goaltender, stopping the puck, realizing that, this was an opportunity and I better grab it, because, when else do you get a good opportunity like this to put yourself in that situation? So, if I had to pinpoint a certain moment, there was that first game that we shut out Quinnipiac. In Quinnipiac, that was awesome, but I think the biggest moment for me kind of taking the reins was when we beat Minnesota at Minnesota in a shootout. That was such a huge moment, especially because it was kind of during the end of the season when we were on the bubble of the NCAA tournament. Sure. And a lot of people outside the team and even within the team were unsure of if we were going to even make the tournament. And then we won that game in a shootout, and that was when I was like, not only do I feel like I can do this, but I feel like the team can do this. Like, we can go far. So that was like a really good weekend for me. And then after that, it was just trying to replicate that and do the same things that I did. And luckily, we were able to pull it off. So, yeah.
Did you surprise yourself?
Definitely. 100%. I think I surprised myself. And it was actually only a couple of days ago so I went home this past week, and the first night that I got home, my parents are like, you want to watch the championship game? Like, we've already watched it 2 times. And I hadn't gotten a chance to watch it yet. So I watched it, and then like later in the night, I was like thinking to myself, like, I can't believe that was me in the net. Like, it's so crazy to think, because like I really didn't play here the past 4 years, and then to be in that position and to excel is such a rare thing. So yeah, I definitely surprised myself, but in the moment I was just so focused on the goal that I wasn't even like thinking about that. Like, I was just doing everything that I could to help the team win. But looking back on that, I'm definitely like, whoa.
Well, good for you. That's amazing. That's amazing what you did.
Thank you.
What kept you motivated to stay with the Badgers? Not getting a lot of ice time until now. What kept you motivated to stay with the team and ultimately win a national championship? Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't an easy path. No one likes to not play. That's not fun. But the people here are really the difference maker. I mean, I've had such amazing teammates, girls that have graduated, girls that are still on the team that have made such an impact on me as a person and a player. And also, not to mention the coaching staff and the facilities we have here. I mean, I would never want to leave this place because there's nothing like it anywhere else. So, but it was definitely my teammates. I have like the best friends in the world from here, and I didn't want to leave. And I think I was willing to wait it out and, work for my opportunity because I love this place and I love the people here. And that moment coming and being successful in that moment is just like the cherry on top of what's been an awesome 5 years here. I have no regrets. Like, I know a lot of people would be quick to leave in a situation like the one that I was in, but I wanted to stick it out. And even in our preseason meetings this past season, I said to the coaches, I was like, look, like, I want to be the one in the net. Like, I want to win the national championship. And so looking back on that to now, it's kind of a surreal feeling, but I'm just happy that I got to do it here because this place is so special to me.
Well, Mop.
I'm just going to change my name legally.
There you go. What was that feel? I mean, you've won a national championship, but what was that feeling like when your name was announced as the most outstanding player?
It was unbelievable. Like, the whole maybe 2 minutes left in the game up until like a week after the championship was just like the most surreal moment. You know, hearing my name being announced for that honor is just crazy when I think about the fact that I didn't play for the past 4 years, to then win such an award like that at the highest level. It's definitely a surreal feeling. And sometimes I feel like, you know, like I don't deserve it because I just can't wrap my head around the fact that we did it and that I was the one that was in the net. But no, it's definitely an awesome feeling and something that I'll appreciate for the rest of my life.
Well, Cami, I got to tell you, you know, part of what we do is to listen to people's stories, and just because everybody's got a different way of getting to where they got, right? And I hope any of the young listeners are listening to this because you are a poster child for persistence, dedication, and just eyeing the prize, and nothing was going to take your eye off that prize. You told the coaches at the beginning of the year, I want to be that goalie. And you were that goalie, and you were the most outstanding player in the tournament. You are a national champion.
Yeah.
No one takes that away from you.
Thank you. No, it's amazing. I've received so many messages from people I've never met before, just congratulating me and saying stuff about how, you know, this is such a fantastic story. I got a really touching message from this one woman who must be a mom. And she was talking about how, like, her little girl came to watch us play and heard my story. And, like, now she's hooked on hockey. And, like, it's just the sweetest thing in the world to be able to have that kind of impact on someone and to be able to be an example of just working hard and not giving up. It's awesome to be that person. And I'm glad that it all is paying off right now. And I hope that other people can see it and follow in those footsteps.
We all know that locker rooms are a place where everybody kind of lets their hair down and everybody tells jokes or gives each other a little bit of crap. And Mogi and I, who are still playing Old Man's League, are no different. And I, as a defenseman, when we're playing in a league and our goalie gets a shutout, of course, it's the defenseman who blocked more shots than the goalie, you know, obviously.
All defense.
So after this game, did any of your players, you know, give you a little bit of business about, you know, being there for you and the ones that made you the mop? Or
Oh, yeah. I've been getting that all season. There've been plenty of times where there have been close calls in games where, you know, it's usually like Nicole Lamontia who's the one that'll turn to me and she'll give me a look and I'll give her a look and she'll know that what I'm trying to say is like, thank you for saving my ass, because she knows. And, you know, like she's one of my best friends. We've been here for 5 years together. So like we just have a look that we give to each other. And it goes both ways too, though. Like when the defense mess up and she looks at me and I'm like,
Yeah.
I give her the eyes, so she knows. But no, there's been plenty of times this season where the defense have got me good. You know, I probably owe them a few gifts or gift cards or something.
So, Cam, you had mentioned that you were able to go home last week. So tell us, where's home for you?
New York, New York. I am a city girl, self-proclaimed, from the Upper West Side. So right in the city in Manhattan.
Wow.
Yeah.
New York City.
Yes.
So how did you become a hockey player living in New York City? Is there a lot of hockey on the island there?
No, not at all. My dad played college hockey at Union, so he wanted to get me and my sister in skates when we were little. We learned how to skate at the rink in Central Park. There's pictures of us back then, and so my sister played for a while. I didn't really like it when I first tried it, but no, New York is not really a hospitable environment for any sport. So I played boys hockey in New Jersey until I went to high school at the North American Hockey Academy in Vermont. Yeah, it was hard growing up in New York because there's not many sports there, or there are plenty of sports teams, but it's not really a good environment to grow up playing sports. I'm definitely jealous of my teammates that grew up in places like Minnesota where there's like 100 rinks in a mile radius. I would have to drive or, get on the train or whatever to go to the rink. So it'd kind of be tough. So it was definitely a bit of weight off the shoulders to go to boarding school and just have everything taken care of. But unique environment growing up in New York for sure. A lot of people here can't really wrap their heads around it. They ask me if what's it like living there and if I actually live in an apartment, which I do. So yeah, it was kind of different.
Did you play any other sports then? Or were you that limited that you couldn't?
My parents tried to put me in all these different sports and I hated every single one. I was just when I was little, I just did not want to be coached. I just wanted to run around and be a crazy kid. But after a little bit, I kind of found hockey. And so hockey was really the one sport. I played lacrosse a little bit in middle school and high school, but it was really just hockey. For the most part, yeah.
So you played with the boys. Is that because there weren't girls' teams in your area, or you just chose that?
There were no girls' teams that were close enough. My dad actually drove me an hour to New Jersey to practice with this one girls' team. I think I was 12, and it was a U18 team. And I got there, and all these girls are so much older than me, and I just wasn't into it. It was kind of a scary environment for me as a little kid. So I stuck with the boys, and then once the boys started getting bigger, we were like, okay, maybe it's time to switch to girls. So it just so happened that this boy that I played with, I played for this team, the New Jersey Avalanche, which are now an awesome boys team, in Hackensack, New Jersey. And one of the guys that I played with, his sister went to Naha, and then she ended up being the captain at BC, Tony Miano, might be familiar. But so her dad went up to my dad and was just like, hey, when are you going to get Cami up to Naha? And my dad's like, what's Naha? So, we went and checked it out and ended up going there, and it was just an awesome experience.
So tell us about Naha.
Yeah, so
what does Naha stand for?
North American Hockey Academy.
Yep.
It's in Stowe, Vermont. It has now moved to Boston and is under different ownership. So I can't speak for what it's like now, but when I was there, it was 40 girls, made up 2 teams, a U16 and a U19 team. And it was eat, sleep, breathe hockey. We would wake up, eat breakfast, go to the rink, or you would work out depending on what team. So you would either work out and then skate, or skate and then work out, come back, have lunch, and then we would have school from noon to 6 o'clock. And so we were traveling to Detroit, Chicago, Toronto, Montreal every weekend, Boston, playing in every tournament, which, it was awesome. I would say probably 99% of the girls that go there end up playing college hockey. So it was a great environment, awesome memories there. It was so much fun. Some of my best friends that also played D1 hockey went there. So yeah, it was awesome. I'm still in contact with the guy who used to own it, Bill Driscoll. He's an awesome guy. He's still in contact with all these different college coaches, and he watched the game. He sent me a text after. So it was really nice to hear from him. It was such a special experience there. So
that's fantastic. I'm glad you had that experience. We're going to give a quick shout out to a couple of our sponsors here. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine has been committed to the healthcare needs of patients in Western Wisconsin since 1954. The orthopedic surgeons and athletic trainers serve many area schools. Their success and reputation as an outstanding orthopedic clinic can be attributed to the teamwork of friendly, knowledgeable physicians and staff. And Computer Recovery Associates specializes in removing, monetizing, and recycling computer hardware from large data centers. Whether you're looking to relocate, repurpose, sell, or recycle, Computer Recovery Associates can help you out, and check them out at computerrecoveryassociates.com.
So, Cami, when did you strap on the pads for the first time?
I was playing house league at Chelsea Piers Rink in downtown Manhattan. I was a player, but I always loved like the way that the players would react when a goalie made a big save. Like, I loved seeing the players, throw their head back and go, "Oh, come on!" Like, and I was like, I want to do that. Like, that would be so fun. Like, to just like, stop like what everyone's wanting to do. Just to be in the way. So, the rink had a couple of like extra sets of pads. My mom actually put them on me for the first time, wrong legs. And I remember she tied them. They had like the leather straps, and she strapped them on so tight that I couldn't even go down to a butterfly because my knees couldn't bend because they were so tight on me. So that was like the first time, the first memory. And I just fell in love with it right away. I loved it so much, and it's just been the most awesome thing. And also being from New York at that time, Henrik Lundqvist was the goalie for the Rangers, who is still my guy, my favorite goalie ever. So he was also a huge influence. I still watch his highlight like videos on the way to a game. Like, if I ever need like anything to pump me up, I'll go on YouTube, look up Henrik Lundqvist highlight videos, and that'll get me going. But no, I love Hank. He's the best. So that's definitely another reason I'm a goalie.
Any rituals or superstitions as you're getting the equipment on in the locker room before a game or practice?
Yeah. Before games, I love to play soccer with the girls, a little bit of keep up. And then I'll just do like general goalie stuff, like throwing tennis ball against the wall, just to kind of warm up my hand-eye coordination. I always like to put on my left side first, like my left skate, then my right skate, my left pad, and my right pad. But other than that, I don't like to do too much because I worry that it's going to get in my head, because we travel and not every rink has the same stuff, and like, knock on wood, you forget something. You don't want to be in that situation where you're like, oh, no, I can't play because I can't do my superstition. And so I try to stay away from like the really specific things. But back when I was younger, I think I tried to have those because I knew that like professional goalies were like so full of like weird little quirks. So I tried to be like that. But then when I got older, I was like, no, this is ridiculous. Like, I can't have all of these quirks. Like, I won't be able to uphold it. I'm going to get in my head and play terribly. So I try to keep it simple now.
Do you talk to the goalposts at all?
No, but I do. If it's a boring game, I will like sing to myself or talk to myself or stuff like that, normal crazy goalie stuff.
All right, at least she's got that going for her. No superstitions, but some good crazy songs.
There you go.
All right, Cami. So you're from New York, and you played your high school in Vermont. How did you get to Wisconsin? And tell us about that recruiting process.
Right. So we had really great recruiting resources at NAHA. The coaches that we had knew a lot of people, so they recommended that I email either Jackie or Dan. And we went to a lot of showcase tournaments, so it was just a matter of emailing them when we'd be playing and then, hoping that they would turn up. So honestly, I wasn't even like really looking so deeply into Wisconsin at first. I really wanted to go to Boston College. They were like number one on my list, and I had been hounding their coaches since my freshman year, trying to talk to them and like wanting them to make me an offer. And so eventually it was like the summer going into my junior year, and NAHA always had like a Labor Day showcase tournament. And that was always like a really big deal, and all the coaches would come to it. And that was generally like at the beginning of a season, that was like generally when people would commit. So both Wisconsin and BC were there. And at that point I was like, I wasn't sure if Wisconsin was like still wanted me or not. And I had visited here and I had visited BC, and it was painfully clear that Wisconsin was like the better option. And I was sad because I didn't know if they were going to offer me or not. And so BC offered me on, let's say like a Monday. And then Wisconsin offered me the next day. And I remember I was feeling kind of conflicted because I had wanted to go to BC for so long, but, Wisconsin is like the holy grail. Like, you can't compare anything to here. And so when I got that offer, I took a few days to think about it. And then I came out and I was like, I got to go to Wisconsin. Like, there's nothing else like this.
So you mentioned painfully clear. That's pretty big. So
Yeah.
what were the huge differences that you noticed between the two programs?
I mean, the professionalism of the way that we get treated here is so special. Like, the facilities that we have, the resources that we have, the way that the coaches and everybody else treats us as athletes. I mean, it's like top notch. This place is like, if you're interested in being better at hockey, being a better person, a better student, a better athlete, anything, like, they have the resources for it. And obviously the fans, I mean, there's no other team in the country that sells out games consistently the way that we do here. And that's such a big pull, the way that the community supports us. And so it's just a long list of pros. I couldn't deny that this place was the best place to be for women's hockey. And so I made that decision, and I'm so glad I did, because I have not looked back a single day and wondered what could have been.
Looking at the coaching staff that you have here, you talked about your goalie coach, which is bar none is the best guy to get you pumped up, and you're so happy that you had him. Your head coach has got a gold medal in the 1980 Olympics, and your assistant coaches obviously have the knowledge and expertise. What's that like being here as an athlete with that type of coaching staff?
It's really special. I mean, it makes you want to play better and represent the university and your coach as well. Just knowing how accomplished they are, especially like with Coach Johnson. He's like a hockey god. So coming here, it's such an opportunity to play under him and to learn all that he has to offer. And you want to, make him proud. You want to play well and win games. But it's an interesting dynamic, because Coach is a quiet guy, and I had never had a coach before that was so quiet. But I think the thing about him that's so special is that because he's quiet, like, the words that he does say have that much more like meaning and weight to them. So, when he does speak up, everybody listens and everybody takes it really seriously. And he sets expectations, and, you better follow them or you're going to get lost in the dust. Like, the way that he treats us like professionals, and he gives us that freedom, but, he expects us to come to the rink and do our job and work every single day. And I think that everybody really appreciates that freedom, because, we all have friends on other teams that their coaches are all over them in every aspect of their life. And we don't have that here. We're lucky that, we can kind of separate ourselves from the rink if, we need a day off or whatever. But when we come here, we know what the coaches expect of us. And we want to make them happy, and we want to do right by them. So it's awesome to be working under them, and just knowing everything they've accomplished. You can really trust the things that they're telling you.
Keeping that in mind, has there ever been a time where an athlete or one of the players maybe didn't live up to the expectations of the professionalism of the team, and either coach had to release them, or you as a team go to that player and say, hey, straighten up, or, find other places to go? Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to name any names, but there have been people in the past here that aren't on the team anymore that just had a hard time getting with the program. And, we've had plenty of conversations with the team about expectations, and if certain people or groups of people aren't living up to those expectations, just trying to remind them of what they're here for and like the standard of Wisconsin hockey. But no, yeah, there have been some girls that have had to go elsewhere. But I mean, it's no hard feelings now, but maybe it just wasn't what they were expecting. But there's definitely had to be a few interventions, but all for the best of the team. And I think that they realized that too.
Okay, at least they were professional to accept it, whether they liked it or not.
Yeah, I mean, like, when you're in that situation, if you're not happy putting in that work, and, I don't think it's a good spot to be in for anybody. You know, if you can't come in and give everything you got, then, you know, you're letting down your teammates, and also you're just not enjoying it yourself. So you should find something that makes you happy, and whatever that is, like, just go be great at it. So, yeah.
What's more frustrating, the coach coming down on you during practice and sniping you, or one of your own players sniping you?
Oh, man, that's a tough question, because coach has definitely scored on me before. And, you know, people, you know, he might look like he's an older guy, but he can still really rip the puck. I think it's more upsetting for me, though, when he scores on me, because my teammates do it all the time. Like, they're always scoring on me. They're insane. But no, when coach scores on you, it's like, oh, come on, like, this guy shouldn't, he's my coach. Like, this guy's old. He shouldn't be scoring on me. But then you're like, he's freaking Mark Johnson. Like, of course he's still awesome at hockey. Like, what do you expect? So, yeah.
All right, we're going to take another moment to shout out our sponsors. We have Kelly Heating and Electric, dedicated to serving their customers' heating and electrical needs efficiently. They have been named one of Bryant's Medal of Excellence winners. They provide expert advice from a friendly staff that can provide you with the knowledge you need to make the best decisions on your next electrical, heating, or air conditioning project. Kelly Heating and Electric. And also Dooley's Pub. They have been Eau Claire's home for hockey and all sports fans since 2005. Dooley's Pub is a proud booster of the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire and local high schools. Dooley's is located on historic Water Street, providing excellent food and service. Thank you to both Kelly Heating and Electric and Dooley's Pub.
Cami, what is your major here at the university?
So I got my bachelor's in communication arts, and I'm currently doing master's degree in sports leadership.
And what do you want to do with those degrees?
So I've learned a whole lot about, like, working in a team setting from both programs. I think the sports leadership one has been really valuable in understanding coaches and the way that teams are structured and can find success. So I really want to continue to work in sports at whatever capacity that is, whether it's coaching or marketing or whatever. But they've both given me a really good foundation of understanding the way that, like, the world of sports works, how to achieve things in it through teamwork, and building, like, really strong relationships. So I hope that I can find something in sports that I can use those things that I've learned. There's a couple of us girls that are in that program right now, and we all want to work in sports in some capacity. So it's a really good program. There's plenty of athletes in it that are learning ways to, be better teammates and better coaches if that's what they want to pursue.
So what's next for you? What do you want to do after graduation?
Well, first, I'm going on a trip. I am going on a trip around Europe with my old teammates, Abby Rock, Brett Pettit, and Jesse DeVito. We're hitting all the hot spots. So that's going to be a fun little trip. It's going to be about a 4-week trip. We might rip each other's heads off, but it'll be fun. And then after that, I'll probably come back to Madison and work out and skate. And then I'm looking at playing professionally in Europe next season. I haven't found out where yet, though, but I'm looking at a team in Sweden that my 2 former teammates are on, and another team in Switzerland that a high school teammate is on. So I'm just trying to figure that out right now. Also maybe considering staying in the U.S., but Europe has been a big draw for me, just experiencing something new and being somewhere that I can, explore a new culture, new environment would be a really awesome experience.
Yeah, why wouldn't you if you have that opportunity?
Yeah, that's exactly what I figured.
Do you hire an agent to help you look for a team or to help negotiate a contract, or how does that work?
My dad he has self-proclaimed himself as my agent. I don't have a legitimate agent, but my dad has taken it upon himself to start taking the role of agent. But no, I've been doing most of it myself, but an agent would be helpful the more that I think about it. I don't know where to start. I'd have to talk to some of my teammates about it, maybe some of the people here, but that definitely would be helpful. So I should look into that and try to figure it out.
Any thoughts of coaching at some point in your life?
Yeah, I would love to coach goalies. I've always just loved learning about techniques and studying the way that different goalies play. And And I think it would be really cool to coach goalies, especially girls, and, help them out and help them improve. So I would love to do that. That would be a really special position.
So you mentioned playing with the boys when you were a youngster because there weren't enough girl teams around. So do you see that changing now? And I know around the Wisconsin, Minnesota area, there are quite a few girls teams now.
Yeah. I'm honestly not home in New York a lot, but I don't think that it's really improved that much. Not in Manhattan. I hope on Long Island or in other suburbs it's gotten better, but unfortunately it's not so great. I actually sent an email to the New York Rangers telling them my story and being like, hey, I had a lot of trouble with girls hockey in Manhattan when I was growing up, and I would love to work with you guys on improving that situation if you'd ever be interested. They didn't get back to me. But that's definitely something. Yet. That's definitely something I'm really passionate about. Just improving that environment because, I was lucky enough to have parents that would drive me over to New Jersey for practices and different games and whatever. But a lot of kids don't have that, so it would just be impossible for them to play in the city. So improving that environment and giving them more opportunities and working on that, especially for girls, would be really special.
Cami, this is interesting to me, at least. Maybe you folks will think it's weird, but one of our earlier interviewees was Karen Bai. She was one of the first gold medalists of all time with the U.S. Olympic team. Okay. She's from River Falls, Wisconsin, but there were no D1 women's hockey programs in the Midwest. So she had to go to UNH, New Hampshire, to play. So here it is. How many years later, you grow up in New York City, you would think that you would be recruited by all kinds of the Eastern schools, and you end up coming to the Midwest.
Yeah.
What is the expansion of women's hockey to the West done for opportunities for gals like you?
Yeah. When I was growing up and started to look at playing college hockey, I didn't imagine that I was going to come to the Midwest. I thought I was going to stay on the East Coast. But then Wisconsin offered me, and it was a no-brainer. But no, I think that it's great that the college sphere of women's hockey is expanding, and we're seeing new teams popping up, going D1, wherever. And that's just great. The more teams that we can get, even our bracket got bigger last year. It's just awesome. And, it's obviously going to take a couple years to get everybody on the same page, and the learning curve will definitely be something that's important to keep track of. But no, coming out here, especially as a kid from New York, was such a unique experience. Because I don't know, I didn't know anybody from the Midwest. I was playing against all these girls that I had never met before, coaches that I never even heard of. So it was unique to come out here. But, I think it's a good lesson for people out there on the East Coast. You don't have to stay on the East Coast. There's plenty of good hockey out here. I don't think that the Hockey East or ECAC, maybe ECAC has 1 or 2 national championships with Clarkson, but this has been the home of national championships in the Midwest. So yeah, it's been an awesome experience coming out here. I'm now a Midwesterner a little bit, so yeah, it's been awesome.
Well, you're slowly getting the right lingo down.
Yeah, the yeah, no kind of thing. Yeah, sure.
You betcha.
And I love the cheese curds. Yeah, the food.
You can't go wrong there.
No.
What is your favorite line of hockey gear?
CCM, definitely. Love my CCM pads. However, I am open to Bauer if Bauer wanted to make a deal. Bauer was my first. When I first got into playing goalie, I was really, really into the gear. And Bauer was doing a lot of innovative stuff. They came out with these pads that had inserts that you could change the stiffness of the pad. And so I was all over that. My first pads were this Henrik Lundqvist's Bauer pads. I loved them. But then I transferred over to CCM, and I love CCM. And I actually did want to try Bauer pads this past year, but I guess that we had made a deal with CCM that I couldn't wear them, so I couldn't try them out. But I would be willing to try it. But for now, I'm a CCM girl.
Before we sign off here, is there any lighthearted stories about the team that you could share with us, or any in locker room pranks that may have occurred?
I've got a good story about Coach Johnson and myself. I have two, actually. These two are actually really, really funny. So the first one happened, I think, my sophomore year. After practice, I'm getting undressed, and Sis, our equipment manager and manager of everything, she's awesome, came in and was like, Cami, like, Coach wants to see you. And I was only a sophomore. I'm like, oh God, like, what have I done? I'm in trouble. And so I go out into the hallway by the sticks, and he's standing there with 2 baseball gloves and a baseball. And I'm like, what's going on? And he hands me a glove, and he's like, we're going to play catch. So me and Coach Johnson are having a baseball catch in the hallway, and he's like, you should really do this to work on your glove. I'm like, oh man, like, seriously? Like, this is so awkward. He brought me out here to have a baseball catch to tell me that my glove isn't good enough. And I still have the glove in the bottom of my locker. I have it. So that's one that the girls give me plenty of crap for all the time, that Coach had a baseball catch with me. The other one, also with him, my junior year, at the end of practice one day, we were doing a shootout. And it was like the players had to score a certain number of pucks before the shootout was over. And my old teammate, Dara Gregg, who's at a Colgate now, she was like my best friend. And she was the last player, and she just couldn't score. Like, she had gone like 10, 15 times and just couldn't score. And I'm in net, and I'm like, this is getting old. Like, I'm tired. Like, I'm just going to let her score, whatever. So I let her score, and everybody cheers, whatever, the drill's over. And then I'm skating to the bench, and Coach stops me. He's like, did you try on that?
Oh,
and I was like, haha, like, I thought he was joking. I was like, haha, and he's like, no, like, did you try? I was like, no. And he goes, take a hard lap. So I'm going to take the lap, and I'm rounding the corner, and I step on a puck, and I fall, and I smash into the boards, and everyone's picking up the puck, so no one was looking. They just heard me smack, and they all started dying laughing. I even heard that Dan was dying laughing. And Coach Johnson he always does this thing when he gets like mad. He twists his hat to the side. He just twisted his hat to the side and was like, But yeah, I still hear about that. People have told me that is their favorite memory from their time in Wisconsin, at the time that he made me do a lap and I fell. And there's been plenty of times where we've been like, we need to get the security footage of that. Like, do you think that they have like the security footage from 2 years ago? So those are my 2 funny stories. Yeah.
Oh, man. Cami, this has been an absolute blast. You have got a great sense of humor and obviously the work ethic necessary to be and are a champion. And to me, I guess mop is perfect. Mogi?
That's wonderful. So I guess the only thing that I really wanted to talk about, the last thing, and I know this is going a long time. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Thank you.
But we understand you're having a meeting to put together your national championship rings, and it's all about the bling for you. We heard something about possibly a belt buckle or something.
I was joking that I wanted the rings to be so big that it's a belt buckle, but I would settle for a tiara or whatever else. But yeah, we're having the meeting tonight. We've been drawing up some sketches, but we want it to be big. We want it to be flashy. So whenever we get it, you will know because it'll be everywhere.
Well, very cool. Congratulations.
Thank you guys
obviously
so
deserve
much.
it.
Thank you.
Folks, please remember to say hi to our sponsors when you drop in on them, and do us a favor and leave a review on your favorite listening platform. It helps us stay in the game. Mogi?
And a big thank you to our guest, Cami, and as well as you, our audience. Please remember our sponsors, Kelly Heating and Electric, Computer Recovery Associates, Dooley's Pub, and Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Please follow us on your favorite social media platforms as well as YouTube. And remember, folks, until the next time, stay on your inside edges.